are live. All right.
All right.
Hey, let's.
Welcome to Strange Podcast, where the unknown meets the unexplained. Join us as we delve into the world's most baffling mysteries and unsettling phenomena, uncharted territories, so to speak. I am one of your hosts, Melanie, and the other host that is joining us today is.
Taylor Nicolle. And we
So,
have,
Taylor, what have you got for us today?
well, today I have Stokes County Paranormal Society. They are out of Danbury, North Carolina. So, ladies, if you go ahead and say hey.
Hey there, howdy.
Happy flies, hey!
We are glad to have you on the show. So what we're going to do is we're just going to go ahead and start off with some questions for you guys. So are you ready to go ahead and get started?
Sure, yep.
All right. So I guess to start off, tell me guys just like a little bit about like you two individually and how you guys become a team.
Go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
So I have actually been investigating privately for almost 20 years. I've been dragging Kimberly around with me for a very long time. She was very young, and we just went public
3 years ago.
3 years ago with the Danbury Ghost Tours here in
Okay.
North Carolina.
Awesome. All right. Well, I don't know if you guys seen when I contacted you, but I live in King, so I'm close, and Melanie's in. She's a little bit of ways from us, but so I'm a little bit familiar with you guys.
Okay.
So, so you said you guys officially like started it 3 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right. And what was your first paranormal experience? Not like, let's say individually, but then also what was the first experience that you guys would say was like, wow, when you become a team?
You talk about yours because I kind of grew up in it, so I don't have a specific.
So before we became a team, I grew up in a haunted house. So I was one of those children that slept with the covers over my head and things like that. It wasn't until I had to travel with work and stayed in a haunted location that I had a bad experience and came home looking for answers. So that's pretty much when it all started for me as far as investigating.
I more so grew up in it, so I can't pinpoint a specific first experience other than maybe seeing the little girl in Nana's house.
In the house I grew up in.
The house she grew up in, I saw a figure of a little girl up at the steps just looking at me.
Mm-hmm. And as a team, we've been to a lot of haunted places, so we have a lot of different stories about that.
Right. Okay. So when you say that you grew up in it, do you mean like you grew up around like investigators or like your life was like just with haunted locations everywhere you were?
You live in King, so it was a housing development in King, a well-known one.
It is.
Okay.
My mother still lives in the home.
Okay.
We moved in like 1975, 76, and I was 3 or 4 years old then. And I remember stuff happening in the home the first night we stayed in there.
Oh, wow. Can I ask?
I grew up with footsteps in the hallway, and everybody knew you don't let the kitchen light go out over the stove at night. If that house was pitch dark, it was terrifying.
And that was the case when I saw the little girl.
So, yeah.
Wow. And can I ask what housing development? Because I grew up in King, so I may know what development you're talking about.
I don't give out the exact location, but I will tell you it's off of Meadowbrook Drive in King.
Oh, okay. Well, that's interesting because I live off of Meadowbrook myself, and I grew up off of Meadowbrook, but I live in a different location now than when I grew up.
We'll have to talk off camera.
Yeah. All right. Sounds good. And so what is your favorite paranormal like story from not only say like the region here in Stokes County, but maybe just potentially in the state? Because I don't know how far you guys go out. Like if you just strictly stay around Stokes County or if you venture out throughout the state.
Well, we've actually investigated all up and down the East Coast.
We've gone all the way from Florida down to St. Augustine. I don't think we've done anything in Tampa, have we?
No, we travel a lot back and forth to Florida. So St. Augustine is typically a stop. Savannah.
We just recently did Niagara Falls up in New York.
Wilmington, we've been doing some stints with Haunted Rooms America. So we got to investigate the battleship and the Bellamy Mansion.
And Gettysburg, we hit hot and heavy at least once a year.
So it's more widespread, but we do focus our investigations more this year in Danbury because we do hold public investigations, and we, of course, host the Danbury Ghost Tours, which we're gearing up for now. We're actually coming to you from one of our most haunted locations right now. We're in the historic Danbury Courthouse.
Nice.
So while we were waiting for you guys, we actually had some things happening. So we set out some equipment around the room, and we have a A REM pod behind us, so if it goes off, you guys will hear it, and some cat balls and a music box. So yeah.
Nice.
Oh, awesome.
I love that.
Yeah.
Probably our favorite story, because I don't think we answered the question.
Oh, we didn't really answer your question.
My personal favorite story is our buddy over across the road.
So at the Arts Place
He's
across
kind of
the
a
street,
legend over there.
we first started investigating. That was our first location. Because
Okay.
Kimberly is a board member on the Arts Council, and we had access to that building. But we came in contact,
And I was there a lot of late nights when we first were given the
Started.
ghost tour idea.
So we came in contact with a spirit that we came very fond of. His name is Dave. We were able to actually gather enough information from him to find out he was a Confederate soldier, and he gave us exactly when he died, how he died. Very friendly towards us, communicated well, and we actually went and paid tribute to him last year.
Yes.
In
Last
Gettysburg,
August.
where he died, the location of his death. We kind of sent him home
interesting.
at that point, so we haven't heard a lot from him since that trip.
But he has a little bit of a following around here.
Yep.
Well, that's awesome. So, I think we've lost Taylor. Hopefully she joins us real quick. So, do you guys do all kinds of hauntings, or do you specifically have any thoughts on residual or intelligent hauntings? Is a lot of things that you come across more like residual, like a memory being replayed,
It's both.
or do you get intelligent
It's mixed.
everywhere you go?
Yeah, we get a really good mix of both.
So
around
just
here.
for example, when we walked downstairs in the lower level of the courthouse to use the restroom before we came back on, we both, as soon as we hit that bottom step, we heard, hey, somebody audible, hey, right? And I turned and looked at her. I thought it was her to start with, and I turned and looked. She said, did you hear that? And I said, yes, I did. So
and right before that, I was up here and asked, if you're here, you got to make yourself known. And sure enough, he did.
So we ventured into the restroom, finished up, and as she's washing her hands, something banged on the door. So we started recording with our camera.
Cool.
So yeah, it's already been active here already today.
Nice. And do you have a little bit of history you can tell us about the place you're at?
Sure.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
So we are sitting in the, is this 1904?
1904
I'm
courthouse.
just now refreshing myself on all of our dates for the tours. So this is the 1904 Stokes County Courthouse. It is currently the Stokes County School Board, Agriculture Services, as well as Soil and Water Conservation. So it's still an active government building. It's just not court cases anymore. But this one was built in 1904. Before it was a 2-story wooden courthouse that sat in the exact same location. It was dismantled 1903 is what I had to guess. And then we got this one.
So the original one was built here in this spot in 1849, 1850 time period.
Oh, nice. I love it. I mean, just the ambiance and the echoing of it, I can tell it's really old.
And then also
I love old and creepy.
downstairs in the foyer. So this wasn't the original county seat of Stokes County. It was a larger county, and it split off in 1849. But there's a bell that belonged to that original courthouse from Germantown, North Carolina. It's well over 250 years old or more.
I think we counted up 200.
It's actually downstairs up in one of the archways.
Oh, wow. Nice. And so while we're waiting for Taylor to get situated again, how long have you guys been in paranormal investigating?
I have been investigating for about 20 years.
I was going to say it's 20 years next year for about both of us.
Yeah, so I've been dragging her with me since she was about 4 years old, just through cemeteries. I mean, nothing major, just safely doing things, and so she's really has grown up in it.
Oh, that's really cool. That's kind of like me and my daughter. My daughter's 20. I'm almost 40, and she's kind of grown up around the paranormal too, and she's kind of sensitive to it from being around it that young. You know what I mean?
Her, same way.
Yeah.
So she actually visualizes spirits now, and when she sees them, whether it's with her eyes or in her head, she's got a sketchbook, and she'll say, "Give me my book." So we have several sketches from this location that she has seen. We have kind of
Well, that's cool.
a nasty male spirit up in the balcony that hangs out.
Don't talk to him.
And what do you do with the nastier spirits? Do you try to help them?
We really
Or
don't
leave 'em alone.
entertain we don't really entertain the idea of people something come through that's negative. We always preface it with we welcome any kind of friendly communication. Now he does tend to get nasty with women. He describes him as a dirty old man.
That's what he looks like. That's what he sounds
Cool.
like.
So when he comes through, he says, "Hey, girl." That's how we know it's him. Yeah. So he interacted.
Yeah,
with
I wouldn't
very
entertain him
close
at all.
investigation here.
He'll even comment on the way he
Okay.
looks, and that's why I call him a dirty old man.
Yeah.
All right. I'm sorry, ladies. My phone overheated, so I am back and I'm inside. So I apologize that I completely just kind of disappeared for a minute.
You're good. We kept the conversation going.
Oh, thanks. Okay. I was so worried. I was like, oh no, I hope they kept it going. Okay. So I hope I don't go over any other questions that I missed that I repeat. But so basically, with you guys, I know that I've seen on your Facebook that y'all went to Madison Dry Goods after Netflix left.
Yes.
I've had my own personal experiences, like with that family, I guess you would say, so like you would call it family or whatever. So my question is, what is your view on the activity after this show left? Has it lessened, or would you guys say that it's even more aggressive?
Well, you go ahead and take this one first.
So we did not investigate there until last October when we weren't invited. We were actually just guests with Brandy and them. But after they left after filming, the energy was weird. It didn't feel right. It felt very heavy. I didn't even feel comfortable walking into the museum portion of the place.
Hello?
They agree.
Yeah. They're talking behind us.
But the activity has been higher since. I mean,
Right.
when we were
Sorry,
there, with
my
the
internet's
original
out, and I just went out for a second. I'm back.
Okay. Sorry.
Y'all are good. But with the original owner, the activity was little to none, except around like Christmas was the only time that he could
Right.
describe things happening.
And he'd have people come in the store. He would tell us, the old owner, he would tell us that people would mainly see the little girl at the top of the stairs leading up to that area where the mortuary and the viewing area and everything was.
Right.
I still sense her there. We were just there, 2 weeks ago?
She will constantly, it's always just her. What was that?
I have no idea.
I heard that.
I don't know.
I don't know, but I heard that.
I heard it too.
I don't think so. It doesn't make that sound.
Okay, anyway, so we were just there recently, and Brandy and her team from Unknown Paranormal in Detroit, she came back last October, and that's the event that we investigated with them as part of the group.
Oh.
And they did introduce us as the local team and told us to please take the lead. So we were able to do that with them, especially up in the attic area.
Yeah.
We have posted some videos of that, the evidence we captured that night. But I personally don't feel the Lawson family.
Oh, my Lord.
Oh.
Hello? Y'all gotta quiet down for a second.
Y'all, I'm just telling you. I personally don't feel there's a lot of that energy there myself as far as the Lawson family. That place had many bodies come through it, many souls come through there. I personally feel the little girl right in the hallway at the top of the staircase every time I go. I got a name recently. Actually, I got it twice that I'm going to research. And that's what we like to do. We like to take that information we gather and research it on Ancestry and Old Danbury Reporters and see if we can link that to an actual person.
Yeah, we're just trying to make that connection between historical documents and the information that we're receiving.
Yeah, I went up there. My first time I ever went was actually at the beginning of this month, actually myself. And when I was watching the show and, Brandy was talking about, what she was seeing, like I actually got goosebumps because that's like exactly the stuff that I was seeing. So I was like, put stock in her because a little bit about myself, like I've always been able to see stuff ever since I was little. And so I just found out, what was going on and all, and basically the same story that she did. But when I went up there, like obviously, how it's laid out. You go up the steps and, there's that little area with like all the little toys and other little goods that you can buy up there. Well, when I went around, like I was walking through the little corridor right there at the top of the steps. And if you look off to the side, there's like that little thing that has the quilt laying over it. And when I looked, I know for a fact I seen a little kid peep up, and it was like when I seen them, they ducked back down, and I was like,
"That's exactly."
And I looked, and there was nobody behind it.
That's what happened to us
a few times.
Last time we were there, I said somebody's watching us, and it was that same. As you come to the top of the staircase and take a left, and there's that little bitty into that area where all the stuff is.
Yes,
I felt it was a female. I felt it was a child, and like she was peeking at us.
Yeah,
I go over there a lot more than she does, and I go by myself.
Mm-hmm.
just when I have free time to go grab lunch or something. And I walked upstairs this time twice, I think. I go upstairs. I always take a gander at the museum, see if anything's been added. And I get to that back hotel room that's it's kind of decorated like a laundry room.
Oh
See
yeah.
the
Mm-hmm.
floral looking one?
Mm-hmm.
I
Right.
hear, play with me. Come find me. And I turned
Oh.
around and I thought somebody was behind me, and I'm up there by myself. And sure enough, when I walked over to the dry goods decorated one, there's a little girl just right under the steps. Saw her,
Wow.
just disappeared.
And so Kimberly actually communicates with the current owner. His name is Smitty. And he was telling us about, it's not that exact room, but it's the one in the middle there before you get to that last one. Is that where the doll in the window kept falling out?
Yes, it kept falling out at the last festival.
So he took her up there and showed her. He would sit her in the window.
He was like debunking it for me.
Yep.
And I was like, there's no way I
And
can.
it keep falling off in the floor.
Wow. That's very interesting. So you guys said that now with the new owner, they have more activity. Is there any like ideas in your mind why they would have more activity than the previous owner?
Absolutely.
Well, and I don't know that, has Smitty actually told you he's had more activity, or is just our take on it?
I know he's been having more activity because I know Richard didn't have all the activity with all the dolls and whatnot. I personally believe he's bringing in all of these new objects,
New memorabilia about the murders.
not just about the Lawsons, but the the funeral home in general, as well as Madison. And he's got all these vendors that are bringing in haunted items. The toy items are actually, a lot of them are haunted dolls. He has one up in the attic that the booth owner gave to him because she is so active.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know how long it's been since you've been there, but have you been there since, if you get to the top of the stairs and you turn right, that was the old viewing room that he's turned that into? There's like tables in there, you can eat your lunch.
Yes, okay, so that's actually where I'm talking about. So like when you get to the top of the stairs and you walk through that room and you get to the back, and back there's like the I guess what was supposed to be like the hotel portion or whatever. Well, if you turn right and go back, and you can see like over the stairs right there to the left, there's like a little quilt hanging over something. And about time I looked, there was a kid that popped back down. I looked behind and there was nobody there.
Well, I do know that Richard, the previous owner, we'd gotten familiar with him as well. And he had told us that that's one of the things that some of the guests see. Their kids might be coming in and say, hey, who's the little girl at the top of the stairs?
Mm-hmm.
So we know she's been seen.
Wow. Yeah. So I know that they said that they have seen, the Lawsons there, but you're right. I mean, with all the stuff that they're bringing in and it being a funeral home, like you never know exactly who all may be there.
Well, did you know that originally the bodies were not brought to Madison?
No, I did not.
Do you know the location in Walnut Cove that they were first taken to?
No, I do know that they were taken to a location, but they could not handle them to that capacity is what I'm understanding, but
it's in his museum.
It's in his museum.
So
he actually has a little article in his museum that confirmed it for us, because we had heard that story, but nobody talks about it.
The owner of the place told me that.
So just plain country in downtown Walnut Cove.
The antique mall.
The antique mall.
Oh, wow. Okay.
The basement of it was
It was a mortuary downstairs and a hardware store upstairs. So
Oh, wow.
There was a lot going on.
They took them there first. They couldn't handle it. They sent them to Madison. So if you're ever in Walnut Cove, take a look. Pay attention when you're in that basement.
To the floor in the basement. That's something I've done recently, and you can still kind of see where the drains were.
Yeah.
You can just take a look at the floor. Even you can look through the boards where the stairs are, and you can see the rest of the mortuary stuff. All of that's still there.
So Kathy, if you actually see this, Kathy's the owner. Forgive us, please.
Kathy would be fine.
She's very spiritual and she doesn't talk about it, but if you ask her about it, she'll talk to you.
She'll tell you.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And she plays religious music in the store to keep the spirits quiet.
Yeah. Not a lot of people know that fact. So
Right. Yeah. I had never heard of the exact location. I just knew, like you guys had said, that it was, they were taken somewhere else. They couldn't handle it. So that's how they ended up in Madison.
That's what it was. So
yeah, this space wasn't big enough. And if it's not.
Wow. So, what tools or equipment do you guys find you usually get the most I guess, answers or most accurate hits off of? Or do you guys have like mediums within your group? What do you guys rely on, I guess, the most?
Well, Kimberly's specialties
Do you want me to grab
are
this
the
one right
dowsing rods. We get a lot of names from the dowsing rods. We've learned how to ask specific questions, like go through the alphabet and give me your first letter of your name. So we're able to get names and dates and things like that. Even favorite colors. That's one of our newest questions we love to ask when we're having some communication. She is also good at
This is my favorite.
the spirit box
Other than
Estes
dowsing
method.
rods.
Oh, okay.
So with the Estes method, she's a good receiver. I ask the questions. She blurts out what she hears, and we've had a lot of correlation come through, especially here in this location with the spirit box. We also have in our arsenal, the REM pods, cat balls. We've got a whole array of stuff. The music box, our newest, not the newest, but the tripwire. We get a lot of communication with the tripwire in here. So we've got a whole array of things. We don't have a medium. We rely on our bodies mostly because we can walk into a room and say, hey, the energy has just changed in here, or something's shifted.
Right.
So we rely a lot on our own feelings.
Right. And we've had several mediums on tours.
On tours with us.
And whatnot, who will pinpoint exactly what's going on. So
Wow.
it's
Okay.
those different viewpoints from all the different people that can see and feel and hear.
Right. Now, this is just my stance on it back to the Lawsons. I know Jeremy's stance was that it was a demon that made him do what he did. My stance is, and I don't know if you guys are ones that believe in this, because I know it's a little bit out on the edge or whatever, and some people do believe in it, some don't. But I feel that he was just very evil in life, and I feel like that he basically has all but turned into a demon. And that's my...
That's kind of ours. We don't really entertain the idea of demons. That keeps us safe. And as just what you said, if somebody's nasty in life,
they're going to be
nasty in death. Just because they pass away don't mean that they're miraculously a nice person.
Sure.
So,
right.
We did have a discussion on this. We did an event here in Danbury called
that was Tell Me a Ghost
Story Town Hall Edition. And we had 60 people from the community come out to hear this talk. And one of the talks was on, well, actually, it's three things it covered. A tidbit of info on Payne Road, the Lawson Family Cemetery, and one that was specifically asked of us a lot. We get it a lot, is what do you think about the photo that the local resident took in that cemetery? And she says it's a demon. Well, I answered it the same way you just did.
Right.
There's a bird up there somewhere.
Just because if somebody's nasty in life, he did a horrible thing.
And
right.
It's a shadow person. What we found is shadow people do not mean evil.
They don't.
We see shadow people in all of our locations all the time.
Right.
Yep.
So talking about Payne Road, I'm familiar with that as well. I guess as you guys know, growing up in this area, it's kind of a rite of passage as a teenager to go down there and kind of prove that you can go down there. And I had took a camera and I took pictures, and one of the old houses, it's no longer there anymore, last time but I took pictures, and within the doorway, it looked like a almost demonic looking figure. I didn't see it when I took the picture, but when I come back home and I was looking at it, I noticed it. I went to upload it on the computer, and when I did, it was gone. The picture was still there, but the image was gone from the picture.
So was it...
Oh, wow.
Was it where the main house was, or was it those raggedy, there was two or three next to each other before you get...
It was like like one of the little raggedy, it was like it was white. It was off to the right side of the road.
What you're talking about. So I actually interviewed a descendant of the family that lived in, it's not actually the Payne house. Everybody called it the Payne house. It's the Edwards home. I actually interviewed him. His mother grew up in that house. So I kind of, the way I presented it, because I knew a lot of people were going to be mad at me for doing it, but I presented it from his point of view. Like, here's what we've heard. Here's what I know to be true from this interview.
Right.
That house was never abandoned. They were constantly so the stories date back to his grandfather or his great-grandfather. Back in the 1950s, his grandfather, and you can look this up in the old Danbury Reporters, his grandfather actually pulled his truck behind the house and stuck a stick of dynamite under his chin and committed suicide. They are behind what everybody called the paint house.
He crawled up in his truck bed and stuck it
Stuck
there
it there
and just let it explode.
blew itself up. That's when all these stories started. That this is what I found through my research. So there was another death on that property. It was actually the gentleman I interviewed. It was his brother. He lived there at the time. His girlfriend had come. They had just taken some kind of gun class, and they were practicing maneuvers, handing them back and forth. The story goes, some people say he shot her on purpose. Other people say it was
gang violence.
The gang violence, and some people say it was an accident.
Right.
So that's another
Just one of those things we'll never know.
Well, and then the story went that someone actually killed herself in the outbuilding there. Well, no, he didn't. I talked to his brother. He actually killed himself in a different county. He did commit suicide, but it was in a different county altogether. So those legends just got intertwined and all these. So,
and things can manifest from that. It could start with the teenagers saying, "Oh, go down here," just to scare their girlfriends or whatever.
Right.
And you can manifest energy just from that.
So nobody ever hung herself off the bridge there. He had actually told me that once his grandfather committed suicide, they closed up the house for a summer home. So it was still in use. But they were constantly having to go down there and sit under the bridge with their shotguns to run off the teenagers and the vandals. And the house was burnt down by arson.
Party.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah.
So
And I do know that as far as like the old vehicle that, would chase you, I had heard that there are some people down there that will just do it to try and chase off the teenagers' vehicles.
So I asked him about that as well. And he thought that story was more along, right now it's Edwards Road. When you get to the end of Edwards Road and you take a left, that's Payne Road, going back towards 66. Right. He thought that more had to do with that stretch of road. I'm not sure. I only can, tell you the stories that people have told me.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, I have been down there, and this was back when my grandfather was alive, and he was a Navy veteran, was at Pearl Harbor, so, he was tough. He did believe in this stuff, and we had been down there several times, and a vehicle just come out of nowhere, and it would just disappear off into one of the fields. But I guess it's because they didn't, recognize the car. But it was something that we had encountered.
Yep.
So
I know they were constantly trying to run people off. So it very well could have been family members doing that to people.
Yeah, exactly. And so I think now, from what I've heard, because there's a lot of homes down there, and I think there might even be a business down there now. They really don't want people down there. And I was told that was why they changed the top at Rural Hall, the name, to try and, I guess, keep people away. But if you're from here, you know where it is.
And when the leaves are down off the trees, you can see the remnants of the chimney from the original home. So I interviewed this fella, and I'm going to date myself because when we first started going down that road, it was still gravel.
Oh, wow.
Gravel road. Before it was paved. And that was his theory, was that the guys, just like Kimberly said, the guys would bring their dates down there to scare them, get them close to them. Because back then there was nothing but that dirt road and that big farmhouse. I don't know if you've been down there recently and saw they've logged a lot in the area. That is still owned by extended family. So everything that's been logged was one part of that family's land, and it was the Edwards family.
Right. Now, do you guys know any validity to this story? I was told that one reason why they got rid of the old abandoned, I guess eventually they were abandoned at one point, that there was people going down there doing demonic worship. Is that any kind of truth to that, or just kind of stuff just coming out of the air?
Well,
to scare?
I think it's a little bit of storytelling. There was some potential gang violence stories coming out of there, and I think something did happen at one of the houses, but when I interviewed this gentleman, he couldn't validate any of the stories that I was telling him that we gathered from the community. So I don't know the answer to that question. My thought is that probably a little incident happened and it kind of blew up because it's Payne Road,
Right. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Okay. So have you ever encountered, well, I know you guys said that you stayed away from like the demons, but have you ever encountered something that you would say is like a very nasty spirit, not necessarily a demon, but do you guys encounter more nasty spirits compared to good spirits, or in your experience, are they mainly good spirits?
Because we preface everything with we invite any friendly communication, we do get
Mhm.
some
I was
that
gonna
make
say,
us.
we've ran into a few.
St. Augustine Lighthouse. We were doing an investigation there, and it was a public investigation. Let me clarify that. We didn't rent out the place or anything, but we had the lighthouse to ourselves. Everybody else had scattered. They was in the lightkeeper's house or whatever. So we did venture into the lightkeeper's house. There was people in the basement, so we ventured back upstairs. The only way we could see was through the viewfinder on my camera. It was pitch dark going up those
And there was
steps.
like 5 or 6 of us huddled up to that camera trying to see where to go.
As I panned into the room that is most famous for a gentleman being in there and coughing, a black figure came around the corner at us. And I saw it in that viewfinder. And of course, about that time, the clock struck midnight.
And something pulled my hair.
Something pulled her hair at the same time. And we just cut a trail out of there.
Wow.
Out of the building. So, I mean, that was kind of caught me off guard.
We've also had a few cases.
The basement of the Sorrel Weed House.
That one too. That one, I don't know what was with him to make me not feel great.
Yeah, so we have had a couple locations.
We've had the one local one.
We have a local here, and then Trans-Allegheny. We were there, and I was affected big time in the lobotomy recovery room.
Oh, wow.
And I think those are just negative spirits.
Right, yeah,
Negative.
absolutely.
People just kind of don't want you there.
Yeah.
Have you ever gotten an attachment?
No.
No?
We
Did you have any advice for people that get attachments?
Our view on that is we make it very clear when we come into a place, the rules, we set ground rules, and we make it very clear when we leave that whatever is here, you do not have permission to follow anyone home. You can't call. I don't know if y'all heard that.
Push it back there.
Yeah,
I heard it.
It's the back room. I wish the REM pod would go off or the music box, but
Me too.
I mean, I just say protect yourself when you go in. Now, I will tell you a quick story.
It's really all in the mindset.
It is I think it's all in your mindset.
Yes.
Because I can internally create white light in my head and just say, if I'm feeling anxiety like we did downstairs earlier when something whispered out loud to us, we didn't have any cameras rolling or anything. But I just kindly speak out, you got my attention. For people, I would just say as you're going into these places, we don't allow on our ghost investigations, not the tours, we don't allow any kind of provoking or anything like that. We make it very clear that we're coming in with good intentions and we're being respectful. So we just keep that in our head as we're leaving as well.
And never take things from locations.
Never take things from locations.
I learned my lesson.
Leave it as it
That's
was
probably
when you
the
came
only one
in.
time.
Yep.
Awesome. So when you guys get a location, are you often contacted to go to these locations, or are there a few of them that like you've maybe been drawn to or whatever, and you just reached out and was like, hey, can we investigate? Like, how do you get prepared to go into these investigations, like your research and all that?
Well, we do actually offer house calls to the local area. So they're confidential and they're free. So when we're talking to people at events and things like that, they'll come up, oh, my house is haunted, you should come. And I say, well, we do offer free house calls. And that starts with a phone consultation. You got to weed some of the crazy stuff out. And from there, we take whatever information they give us. I like to get the addresses and everything and try to do a search on the history of the land and their home.
Dig as deep as we can to figure out.
So we have done quite a few of those in the area. We have been contacted by government buildings in Surrey County, Walnut Cove. We've done several confidential, a lot of places you wouldn't expect.
Mostly businesses.
Yes.
A lot of businesses.
Yeah.
In our locations around here, it's been more so my boss saying, hey, I want you to check this place out. Go do it.
Because it's part of the county. I mean.
Right. Okay. Yeah. Awesome. So like I said, I grew up off of Meadowbrook as well. And there was different things said about the neighborhood that I lived in, and I mean, just like was there from when I was born all the way up until we moved when I was 28. So a long, long time. And a lot of stuff happened there, like very strange stuff. Even had one neighbor, he had put out cameras, and he obviously believed in it. And there was things that was caught in his cameras outside that couldn't be explained, but never really could find any real evidence with what was being said. Even talked to one neighbor that lived up above the neighborhood, And he said that he knew that for a fact it was never a old dumping ground, like battery dump, because that was one thing that was said. And he said, oh no, it's always been woods. So never really found
I'm
any
curious.
information on it
I'm
as to
curious to
what.
find out where you grew up, because see how far it is from Mama's development, because we know the history of the land
Right.
for that particular area. And it was a big family farm, and it was a prominent family in King.
It wasn't a farm, it was a plantation.
Plantation.
It was flat out a plantation.
So where Mama's house sits, were the
Talking
slave
about
quarters.
plantation.
Yeah. So her house
Yeah.
sits where the slave quarters were.
Oh, wow.
We found cannonballs in the backyard. I have possession of those. So I'm curious to see where you are at in
Right.
comparison.
Yeah. And I mean, heard like potentially native, which I mean, it could have very well been back a long time ago. I mean, you don't.
Yep.
So, but yeah. So definitely curious to talk to you as well about to see how close it was. So would you ever let one of us, well, I mean, Melanie's in Ohio, but like if we wanted to come along for like an investigation and film it on our live, like could we do something like that with you guys?
Absolutely.
I think so.
Yeah, that would be awesome.
Yeah, because we
All
do
right.
live streams.
Yeah.
Of course, we have permission to do them through the county, but we'd
Right.
we'd run it by a few people to make sure we got permission. Absolutely. And
Okay,
definitely, if you're
It
not,
should be no problem.
it should be no problem. But if you're not filming, we invite you to come along with us.
It counts as an Arts Council thing.
Yeah, absolutely. That'd be
Ooh, Taylor, you better go, girl.
So
Yeah.
we've got our 4th location for the ghost tours this year that have just been let into. I
As
don't
of this
know
week.
if you know anything about Danbury.
Um,
It's the historic Stokes County Jail.
oh, okay.
Oh.
All right.
So we actually did our first full investigation there last night. It's just right up the road. But yeah,
Mhm.
we've been bringing in other investigators with us.
Just to get
Oh,
different
wow.
viewpoints on all these locations.
Yeah, that would be
Yes.
really. Yes.
I'd love
So
to have you down here at the courthouse.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you guys have all kinds of stuff going on like right now. So
Yeah, it's kind of like a live investigation right now.
I know, right? So I mean, we'll have to get up and try and, do something, whether it's recorded or not, but just go along because that'd be really fun, just the experience. And so what would you say is like your most compelling evidence from, I mean, I know you guys have been to like a lot of locations, but anything just really jump out at you that was just really interesting?
Sorrel Wheat House picture.
So
Yellow. That's
we've
my
got
top 3.
her top 3 is okay. So in the house I grew up in,
That was a full-on set.
What's that?
Quiet down for like 2 seconds. Thank you.
if you're going to do something, at least light up something that they can hear or see.
Yeah, come touch the REM pod.
So there's something in the balcony for sure. Anyway, so when my family comes up from Florida, the big deal is they know we're paranormal investigators. I have to gather them at my mama's house, and we have to do an investigation while we're there. My best piece of evidence I caught, and I held on to this for more than 10 years. I just released it.
15, because it was 2000. That was closer. 2007.
Y'all watch
8.
behind us. I caught the voice, and it was just 2 people in the room, me and my nephew, in my mama's old bedroom. I caught the voice, Class A EVP, on a voice recorder in my mama's bedroom of a German, what to me sounds like a German boy. Nobody can. I've asked multiple people to review it for me and see if they can tell me, what language is this? Does anybody know what it says? I released it on a podcast we did with Dan Terry 2 years ago. A year ago?
Yeah, 2 years ago.
Hoping that somebody would reach out and say, hey, I know what this is. I know what this language is, but nobody
Nobody can decipher it.
Nobody can decipher it.
Wow, that's interesting.
And then also
That is interesting.
Sorrel Wheat House
My
in
personal favorite.
Savannah. We have a photograph that my husband took. He's not into the ghost stuff, but he went with us to entertain us,
And this was just a regular walkthrough kind of tour.
And he was flashing away with his camera, and he's the one that caught the daggum picture of something we think is the man of the house with his arms wrapped around Kimberly in a mirror.
We asked one of the guys, and she says, "Oh, that's Francis Sorrel."
So they knew
That's
who it
for sure
was.
him.
So we have that piece of evidence. And then I think here, this location, I always tell everybody,
Oh, I was going to say the Arts Place.
well, you can do the arts place.
Okay.
We get a lot of EVPs in here. So we ran test tours through when we first started these 2 years ago.
Mhm.
So we could get our timing and everything right. And so we brought some test groups in, and within an hour time, we caught at least five
Class A's.
Class A EVPs in this
Oh,
room.
wow.
So I
Wow.
was shocked.
She's sitting right here.
Yeah.
Sitting right in this location, I was shocked. And more recently, we did
That's
a live
interesting.
stream with Dan Terry again for him to put on his
Mhm.
podcast, which aired on Thursday. If you're interested in hearing the evidence that we caught, go check out his podcast because he shared a large amount of it. I'm already on part 5 of sending him
And
video
it's like
evidence.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
DVP.
And do a shout out real quick. What's his podcast name?
It's on the Unx network,
It's Most Haunted.
Okay.
Dan Terry.
Most Haunted with Dan Terry. And he
All
is
right.
local too.
He's another investigator that is great to work with.
Mhm.
If you want to hook up with somebody up there, and he's in Pilot, right?
He's in Pilot
He's
Mountain.
in Pilot Mountain.
Okay. Yeah, definitely.
And then
You guys could
yes,
that
Yeah,
when we get done. That way I can have the name and try and reach out to him.
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because that's not very far and that be different stuff up that way as well.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
He's
And
got
we'll definitely
great stuff up
go
there.
and
He
look at
does.
the
He just
stuff
started
that
his
he
own ghost tours up there
shared
too.
with me. Though.
Have you heard of the Pilot Mountain Ghost Tours?
I have.
He's actually the one running those. He's the one putting those on.
Oh, wow. Okay. All right.
As well as,
Now,
Mount Airy Museum,
is
too.
from the ones that they do in Mount Airy, correct?
He does. He works with them as well.
Okay.
They are
Okay.
different, but he
Yeah.
he
He's
works
one
with
of the
them.
script writers.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Awesome. And now Mount Airy, I think they only do theirs like during the fall, but does he do his year round in Pilot or is it just certain times like
Certain
in Mount Airy?
times.
He just started this year,
Yeah.
so I don't think he's got
Okay.
that limit
Mhm.
yet, as far as I know. But that would be more of a question for him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But just if you're familiar with the Arts Place across the street from the courthouse, another very active location. Kimberly actually works there as well and has had a ton of experiences. Shadow figures. There's an entity in the
I
basement.
have several. I've got video upon video of just closing up the shop after hours, and shadow figures, voices getting ran up on.
Oh, wow.
Everything pretty much. I mean, most recently we had the trash can get kicked over
Yeah.
during an investigation. But my personal favorite piece of evidence from over there is I Like Yellow.
Yeah.
We were live streaming. That was probably the longest live stream we've ever done. It was a little over 3 hours, I want to say. And at this point in the live stream, we were upstairs with the dowsing rods and another investigator with us. And she asked, "What's your favorite color?" We thought it said green, but we didn't let them cross all the way until we noticed, was it the van door?
Yeah.
The van door, the bakery next door, was open, and it wasn't open when we started the investigation. So we decided to call the non-emergency number for the police, and we went downstairs to go check it out while we were waiting for them. And I was passing by our pottery studio, and we hear, "I Like Yellow."
Now we didn't hear it
We
with our
didn't hear
ears.
it. We had a
viewer.
stream viewer catch it, and we had no idea. She said, "Go back and listen to this. I think you caught something." And lo and
Wow.
behold, it was a man's voice saying, "I
I
like,
like
yellow."
yellow.
Wow.
Huh.
Now, when you have instances like that where you call the police just to make sure that nobody is there, do they ever look at you like you're strange, or do you have a lot of?
No.
This is funny. That's a funny question because she came. We talked to her a little bit through the door, and we go upstairs to the loft to do an SC session. And I'm watching the phone screen. I said, "Somebody keeps saying there's lights in the basement. They can see lights passing by the windows." And I kept saying, "Who in the world is this?" It was the cop. She was out there watching the live stream.
And they also investigated with us in Madison last year too.
Yeah, they came to
They
the
came to
investigation.
it.
So yeah,
Wow.
I think they all pretty much aware of us now.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, same in my town. The cops know that. I'm just out in the cemetery doing my thing.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, that's good that they are aware and know that you guys are just out there trying to do your own thing. Because sometimes you may get one that's like no, you can't be doing that, or what are you talking about? Like you're weird, So it's good to have somebody that understands.
This is another funny one. We were over here we were holding a public investigation here at the courthouse. And this was like after midnight. And she's watching the live stream. Was like, who keeps texting us that we need to come over and check out their
that's so
basement?
funny.
So the people were doing barbecue. They were a smoking barbecue across the street in one of the parking lots where the arts place is, but at the other end of the buildings.
They were in the bakery at that time.
And they're jailers? They worked at the jail?
Yeah, they used to work at the jail up the road, the new Stokes County
So
jail.
it was them. They saw us over here and they were saying, y'all need to come over here and check out this. So we went after live stream. It was about 2 a.m. So we went over there. Hey, you guys, we saw y'all messaging us. Those were the 2 biggest chickens I have ever seen in my life. They took us in the basement, although they did not want to go in, even though they told us, hey, come look in the basement.
Oh, wow.
It was hilarious. And they had other sheriffs stopping by with them to check on them. And it was just funny because they were terrified.
Yeah.
That's funny. I love that.
Yeah. So how do you guys, this will be the last question before we close up, unless Melanie has anything else that she wants to add. But how do you guys approach a location that is said to be haunted, but say it's like your first time, or have you ever went to a location and not got anything at all?
I don't know that we've actually had to ask for places. I mean, for the ghost tours, it's like a group effort.
I would say the jail is one.
The jail is one. So the jail is privately owned.
Because we didn't have any stories about it until last week.
The owner let us go on the lawn of the jail with our first ghost tour, so we could take them on the bus, let them off, and just tell them a few stories that we'd gathered. Everybody we ran into said, oh, that jail is haunted.
And we'd always say, why?
Why do you think it's
it?
haunted? They don't know, it's just haunted. So fast forward to this year's ghost tours, we really wanted to get in that jail. So her boss worked very hard to
Several months.
to speak to this gentleman, and he finally agreed to let us do it. And I think it's because it's a community event. We've had so many people asked to go in this location. Legally go in the location.
A lot of people break into it, unfortunately.
So yeah, with that, we just kept asking, and I think because her boss is prominent in the community, he kind of takes care of that part for us.
Okay.
Because most of the investigations we do that are paid investigations are in partnership with the Stokes County Arts Council.
Oh, okay. All right.
So it's not really
Now,
to approach these places.
Yeah.
oh, okay. Now, have you guys ever went to a location where, like, you were told, like, it's very, very active and you guys didn't catch very much? Or do you usually catch, like, enough to say, oh, yeah, like,
Well, the
it's totally...
first time we came in this location, we were in here for
didn't get anything.
4 hours, and we didn't get anything except for feeling the presence of the man and the girl in the balcony. We feel them strongly, and they've come through just about every time since then. But we have, I mean, we're not guaranteed to get anything at any time.
Right.
Always come in with an open mind. It's not haunted unless proven otherwise, in my opinion.
We've done a couple places in Gettysburg that were said to be extremely haunted, and we got absolutely nothing.
Yeah. And a lot of times, too, like, you have to kind of, I guess, build a rapport with the spirits there. So probably at the courthouse right there, they're very familiar with y'all.
They are. If you go watch, well, Dan didn't premiere that one, but I was going to say, if he'd have premiered that segment I sent him, clearly it says my name, Michelle.
They all know.
And I react to it. I asked the other investigator, did you just hear something? But it was actually a whisper of my name. It said Dan's name probably 5 or 6 times during the night.
And that was maybe his 3rd time coming here with us.
But they are very familiar with me and Kimberly here.
Especially here and the arts place.
The arts place, yes.
Well, that's very interesting. Does it make you guys feel, does it creep you out that they know your name, or does you feel okay with it?
I feel okay with it. I just, because
it's like talking to a person. You get on a first name basis with any acquaintance.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's good. And Melanie, do you have any last thing that you would like to ask them?
I do. What are your guys' takes on, because I know you got all the new high-tech equipment with you, like, the Estes method stuff, but do you have, like, phone apps that you use, or do you recommend phone apps to use for beginner ghost hunters?
We don't. We just don't care for them ourselves. There's too much that can be.
There's too much room for error there. It could be.
Yes.
Because you don't know on, like, the creator's end if they put all of these things in there to make people believe. It's like a placebo kind of thing. Do they put these words here to convince them that, oh, it's haunted, and you're hoping you get the right keywords in that location? Or is it actually something?
Is it actually recording the words the people around you are saying? And that's, hey, they just said
Yeah.
that, you know.
Right.
So I just don't rely
And
on
the
those.
phone doesn't have as many technical features as some of these pieces of equipment, like ambient temperature and
EMF detectors.
EMF. There's not really a way for a phone to do that unless you have some sort of attachment of some sort for it. So the phone is not. I don't think it's compatible for that.
Oh, and we have people on our tours use them, and that's okay. People are allowed to use whatever they want. It's just personal preference. We don't rely on those ourselves.
Right.
I
Now,
am the same way for sure.
the
Go ahead,
only one
Taylor.
I will actually back, and it's not because I know Melanie's familiar with it, but I also shared with you guys about the Graveyard Shift YouTube with Dalen Spratt. He uses the Sono X10. I have used that, and I actually have asked questions that, like, nobody would have said out loud, but also questions that I know that only if I'm actually talking to that spirit that they will answer. And I've actually gotten the answers. So I do believe in that one, but there are a lot of them out there that it's just kind of basic, redundant words that's just everyday. Don't really know. It's kind of just like, or you'll ask a question and they'll throw out something that has absolutely nothing to do with what you said. So I don't really rely on them, and I don't really like them like you guys, but I do feel that there's some stock in the Sono X10.
I will say
Yeah, the
there
Sono's
is,
pretty good.
one exception with, now that I'm thinking about it, he's a former investigator. He he created that, didn't he?
Oh, you're talking about Matt?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
He created some sort of program. It ran through his computer, and he hooked it up to it wasn't a spirit box. What's that called? A portal. He'd hook it up to a portal, and some of the things that would come through there is no way that it could have been automatically generated.
Yeah, so that was like a program
That's
or
interesting.
an app. So it's a little different, but
That one has
Okay, yeah.
Right.
Now, with like the old timey spiritualists, that were just starting as ghost hunters back in the late 1800s, they used like Ouija boards. Now, my personal take is it's just like the stuff we use today, but from back then. It's almost like an ITC type equipment. What is your take on Ouija boards?
I'll let you answer that one.
Because of an incident we had in my house growing up with my older sister and my cousin, I don't entertain the idea of using a Ouija board. I just think there's a lot of room there for you to unintentionally make something happen.
Yes.
So my preference is I don't deal with those. We don't let people use them on our paid tours. But I know a lot of people do use them. My mama still has our original, so it's probably an antique now, but she keeps the planchette separated from the board. It's not allowed to be very near to each other. So.
Yep, I'm the same way with mine. I collect them. I have like 7 of them, but I don't like store them together. You know what I mean? But yeah, another thing I wanted to ask you is, did you guys ever encounter an elemental spirit when you were out on the field?
Dan asked us that a while back, and he believed there was one in this courtroom as well. I'm not entirely sure how you would identify an elemental. I don't think we've really had a lot of experience with that.
No, I mean,
really
not that I can say for
exactly
sure.
they
Yeah.
are, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that makes sense. But yeah, do you have any advice for any ghost hunters that are just starting out today?
I would just say be respectful wherever you go. Be mindful of the rules. Don't break the rules just so you can get into a place.
AKA, don't break the law.
We always start our tours off by
That too.
saying, not only be respectful to the spirits in each location, be respectful to the actual location, because all of our buildings are still in use. And we are that way. We practice what we preach with that kind of advice.
As well as remember they were once people. Treat them like people.
were.
Exactly.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that's beautiful advice.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
where can people find you on socials?
Right now, it's just Stokes County Paranormal on Facebook. We're working on a website.
We're working on a website.
And we do have a YouTube channel by the same name.
All right, you guys make sure you check them out on Facebook and YouTube.
Yes, absolutely. Give them a follow, and we appreciate you guys for coming on and talking to us, and we will definitely have to chat off camera about that. So,
and thank you for having us.
Definitely.
absolutely.
Bring her on an investigation. I want to see her out there on the field.
yeah, absolutely. That. So let me know as well somewhere that you would like me to come. I mean, the courthouse or whatever. I'm down for whatever.
Oh, we can take you on all of them. We can just take you on.
Okay, that sounds good too.
All right, that was Stokes County Paranormal, you guys. I hope you enjoyed this episode. And always remember to stay strange out there and always question the unknown. So join us next time, and we will have updates for lives and episodes that are upcoming. So yeah, stay strange, everybody. And a big shout out to the communities that were affected by Hurricane Helene. I know that it made a very terrible path, and there's power outages and floodings, and people's lost their homes and their lives. So from all of us here at ESP Slap Recon Productions, we are with you and we are praying for you. Everybody stay safe out there and stay spooky.